Welcome to
Okay.
another edition of the Caregivers Network podcast, a place where family and caregivers come together to learn, grow, and get supported. I'm Reggie Cunningham,
And I'm Marlon Phillips.
and each
And
week
I'm Eric Harris.
and each week we explore personal experiences to help us navigate and deal with the challenges of caregiving with confidence. Whether
Whether
you're
you're,
supporting a loved one, I'm sorry, Marty, I stepped all over you.
don't
Whether
worry about it.
whether you're supporting a loved one or working on the front lines, we stand with you.
Okay.
And today our guest is Eric Harris
hmm
from the Atlanta, Georgia area. So Eric, why don't you kind of give us a little insight
hmm
as to your situation and story and how you became a great caregiver for your wife for 23 years.
Yes. Well, actually, we were married 20 years. She passed in March 5th of 2019. But the story starts 9 years ago when she was having problems breathing. And we were going to various doctors, and no one could really figure out what was going on. And she has a history in her family of arthritis. And come to find out, it's a unique type of arthritis that attacks your lungs.
Oh, wow.
And it was causing blistering in her lungs. So she was losing lung capacity. And so we found a way to get her on oxygen and at home, on a home unit, and that worked very well. And then we went even further. I found a unit that's a portable unit that's like a 5 pound unit she carried with her, and that
Mhm.
gave her relief also because her lung capacity got down to about 40%.
Wow.
But
Wow.
in those two devices, knowing that they existed and got them, they weren't very cheap either. They were, like in the $3,000 or $4,000 range.
Wow.
But gave us the flexibility to continue to live our life and do things together. Like we traveled, we came to visit you a number of times, Marlon. We just pack up the unit and take it with us. We
hmm
went so far. We went to Paris. We went to Rio de Janeiro. So life didn't stop. And she was really a trooper. She
Yeah.
used the term she would press on because I mean I didn't know how much effort it took, but I just knew that whenever it said let's go do something, she said let's go, and
Mhm.
we did that for 9 years. Then she developed cancer in her lungs at some point. Then we went through chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and she was getting stronger with
Mhm.
the tumor was dissolving and going away. But as it turned out, the radiation weakened her heart, and
Wow.
actually died from heart failure
Mm.
at that point. And that was traumatic. She couldn't breathe, and I called the PMS EMS. They were actually a fire station right around the house, or the corner. They got here right away, and they performed several type of procedures. Then I went to the hospital, and then she passed at the hospital.
Wow.
So, but I look back on it that we had 23 good years, and we didn't let the disease or the handicap hinder us in any way. One of the key things that helped us, though, she eventually got full disability on Social Security, but we went through a lot of trial and errors of applying and being rejected until we
Mhm.
got the actual official name. One of the doctors said if you identify the actual disease in more clarity, you might get
Interesting.
accepted. And she termed it as autoimmune disease.
Mm.
Designation, it passed right away. So she got full disability. So it didn't, financially, it didn't hinder us in any way. But at the same time, we just had those times together. And I
So Eric,
think
let
of
me
it
ask
all the
you,
time
let me
of,
go back and ask you a question about that. That's an interesting point regarding
mm-hmm,
Social Security.
right.
So
Mm-hmm,
you went to apply for the disability, and the Social Security folks just said that you didn't have a profound enough definition for them to look up or categorize her
exactly. Mm-hmm,
situation or assessments. And until you got that,
mm-hmm.
you could not get any assistance from Social Security?
Well, no, we got denied. We was going for full disability.
Oh, wow.
So she was denied a couple times, and then we got that term from the doctor, and we applied the third time. Then it passed. But I think sometimes they want to see how persistent you are. You can't
Mm,
give up. You got to keep pushing. So I know a lot of people go through that. But and having that financial assistance allowed us to buy the devices we needed and take
mhm.
and then spend the time together and not be a burden. But a lot of people have. I know have probably gone through similar cases with Social Security It's not easy getting approved,
So what was the duration of time from the time that you applied, you were denied,
hmm It
and
was
then the approval?
about 9 months. Yeah,
Really?
we applied 3 times in 9 months, and the third time when we had the official designation, autoimmune disease, that it passed.
Well,
I,
Eric,
I bring that up.
Mhm.
Go ahead,
let me
Reggie.
ask you, did you get any like assistance in applying for a disability? How did you know to apply for disability? And the second part of the question is, was that from the job or from Social Security that you got the disability?
No, she was self-employed. She was an entrepreneur. She had residents that she rented out, and also she had vending machines that she
That's right.
serviced. So she didn't wasn't from the job; it was just from Social Security direct. And then once she couldn't work anymore, that's when we said let's apply for disability. And but again, you had to go through the process, and it
So
takes
the
time.
reason I asked that is because you made a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this relative to putting your loved one like in a nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I give you kudos for taking care of her at the house, and you can probably elaborate a little bit more on that. But with respect to persistence,
Mm-hmm.
we've had the conversation that if you have the or don't have the ability to take care of the person at home, then you may have to put them in a nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
But along with that comes the anxiety about whether or not they're going to get the same care that you provide
Mm-hmm.
at home. Case in point, the more involved you are by going by the nursing home, by showing your face up there, it seems like the more care or the more attentive that the nursing home staff will be.
Yeah, if they know they have outside support, that's definitely a key. And building a network, like getting to know the people, make it more personal. So you're just
Mm-hmm.
not just an individual, but you're somebody who it has loved ones and they can show love towards you.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we talked about that. But so tell me about,
Mm-hmm.
just being at home and having to
Yeah.
adjust your schedule,
Mm-hmm.
make these appointments now. So were you still working full time when that happened, or is
Well,
that?
I was working full time, but I was blessed working for AT&T. I had virtual office for the last 7 years, so I was
Wow.
working from home. So it made it
Mm-hmm.
really easy that I could be there for her when need be. And I had a lot of vacation. I had like 5 weeks vacation, so I could always take time off for appointments, for doctor's appointments, and things like that. So working from home was a benefit, and the case of I can have flexibility on my work assignments. I can be away if I needed to. But so I think a lot of people that have the capability of being virtual office, that helps a lot. And I
Yeah.
know a lot of companies during COVID, everybody was virtual office basically. So
Yeah,
they learned the fact that you can be productive and work
right,
from home.
right. And
Yeah, yeah,
Eric,
yeah.
we share something in common. I lost my wife to lung cancer
Hmm
4 years ago, and she never smoked.
Yeah.
So it was a difficult transition, and I don't know how much of my story Marlon has shared with you, but
hmm
None. Go ahead.
we
hmm
were married for 32 years, and I've got a 34-year-old autistic daughter. So it was a
hmm
big challenge for me. And one of the graces that I had is that I was able, because of my job, take advantage of FMLA.
hmm
Even though she went relatively quickly, she got diagnosed in October of 2020 and she passed January of 2021.
hmm
I didn't get to use that FMLA a lot,
hmm
until the very end. So, but that was a grace that I
What
had.
does that acronym stand for?
Oh,
Families.
family, I can't remember, Leave
Mhm.
Act. I can't, Family something Leave Act. I'll
I
look it
say,
up and
I got you.
give it back to you.
Okay, then. Good.
Yeah,
Well, one
yeah.
of the things too, eventually, being that I was, the baby boomers that we all are, I was able to take full retirement at age 66, which was in 2017. So, as a benefit of all that, I was able to retire full pension from AT&T, 401k, Social Security. So I could spend the last 2 years we spent totally together. And
Mhm.
that's when she was going through the chemo and the radiation, where it was more day to day. But and I'm glad I had those last 2 years where we spent every time, every minute together. I remember she passed in March of 2019, but December of 2018 we went to Biloxi, and she loves to play poker, and I love to play poker. So we went and played poker, traveled, did had all the fun in Biloxi, and over the Christmas holiday, and that was our last trip together.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
3 months later, she had passed. So it's almost like take advantage of every minute you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So our mutual comment to everybody is this: there's not a person on this call or person that you talk to that plan to be a caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
So at least I subscribe to the fact that when that happens, it's because God puts them in the best person's hands,
Mm-hmm.
and you may not even know it, but caregiving is a full-time job. It's something that you don't plan for. So in that respect, so what did you end up doing to become a caregiver? Because I know you had to take care of cooking, cleaning, assisting
Well,
her.
well, we had the benefit of also bringing in a housekeeper, so that was in fact today I still use the same housekeeper because uh,
Yeah,
once a month she comes in, cleans up. She do a much better job than I can do, and she really likes doing it. You know her, Hope,
yeah,
Dee Dee's
yeah,
daughter,
yeah, yeah.
and you keep it in the family. So I'd rather pay her than pay a stranger. But that was the benefit of having her come in, having someone who knew LaBrenda and I come in and take care of the household and do whatever she needed to do that LaBrenda couldn't do at the time.
Yeah,
So it,
yeah,
it
yeah,
really
yeah,
worked out. Like you say, you got to have a network. You got to have support, not just myself, but other people. My sister was a caregiver to my uncle, and she did it basically all by herself because I'm in Georgia. I got a sister in Florida, a sister in Arizona, and she's there in Chicago by herself. So she did everything from. He was suffering from Alzheimer's,
Mm.
Mm.
and he used to take these long walks at night and they didn't know where he was. Police would call and say, "I got your uncle here again." So she had to deal with all that, and eventually we put him in a nursing home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had
Yeah,
to do that because she couldn't do it all by herself.
yeah. I can tell you, it's a challenge. A funny story with my mother when she came to live with me is she had Alzheimer's and dementia, and Reggie and I will both agree, and you probably do too now, that a person with Alzheimer's, dementia, or any debilitating care, it'll teach you patience.
Oh yeah.
So Reggie and I wants to share something with you and take this with you. If you take nothing else from our conversation, is that
Mm-hmm.
ask God for strength,
Yeah.
not for patience, because God will test your patience. Just
Mm-hmm.
we pray for strength for you all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
that said, mom came to live with me, and one morning, like 3:30, 4 o'clock, the alarm went
Mm-hmm.
off, said the front door was open, so I get up and, go downstairs, and my mother is fully dressed,
Mm-hmm.
got her scarf, got her cane,
Mm-hmm.
got her bag. She's packed everything, and she's ready to go because she believed that her girlfriend had come from Indiana to pick her up, and then they were going to drive back to Indiana together. So
Mm-hmm.
I get down, she's opened up the front door and went
Mm-hmm.
out on the porch. I came up, I said, Mom, what are you doing? She said, well, Phyllis was coming to get me, and I was just opening the door for her, but I didn't see her. So I came back inside.
Mm-hmm.
So two things happened from that situation. One, I asked her, she's not coming tonight, so can you go back to bed? Well, her things, well, I can't make it. Now
Mm-hmm.
you've gotten up at 3 o'clock in the morning and fully
Mm-hmm.
dressed yourself, coat, hat, gloves, ready
Yeah.
to go, but you can't get back. So anyway, I assisted her in getting back. But the other thing, to your point, we ended up putting deadbolt locks on all the doors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So she couldn't open the door without a key.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the dementia would set it again because her other thing was like, well, son, what if something happens to you? Who's going to take care of me?
Mm-hmm.
I said, we're going to take care. But she said, I don't know how to get out of here. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe I need to wear a key around my neck in case something happens. Well, I
She was
like
thinking
that.
in advance.
Oh, yeah. So maybe I have the
That
dementia
mind was still
moment.
thinking though, wasn't it?
Yeah, she's planning the jailbreak.
Just thinking of those survival skills. If something happened, I got to be able to get out of here. So maybe you need to give me a key so I can
Mm-hmm.
get out.
Yeah.
But those were some of the amusing parts.
Mm-hmm.
See, the other
Now,
thing,
and it's interesting too, because different diseases, different debilitations have different effects. Like with LaBrenda, it was pretty much constant. Her health didn't decline, whereas with
right,
dementia, you get something that declines over time.
right,
And it gets worse. Whereas her position, as far as lung capacity, pretty much stayed the same. It was just it took a lot of effort and energy to do things, but she had the oxygen procedure, and
Right.
that helped a lot. So, but different diseases have different needs and necessities to deal with.
So the other thing I was always wanted to know is that you kind of had two families, and you can help Reggie with that. You
Mm-hmm.
had a family in Jersey, and you had a family in Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
when it came to La Brenda. And maybe you can kind of elaborate on, what you had to do upon her passing. I'll never forget it, but I'll
Well,
let you tell.
yeah, because she was from Jersey. I met her in Jersey, so she moved to Atlanta. So I wanted to have a service for the family in Jersey, and all her
Yeah.
relatives and aunts and uncles lives in North Carolina. So they all came from North Carolina. I had a service there, planned all that, but then I had people here in Atlanta that couldn't make it to Jersey, so I had a memorial service here the same month at the end of the month, but
Yeah.
by then we had gone through the cremation process. But I had somebody put together a nice large poster, and we
Yeah.
had about maybe 300 people show up for the memorial service. And I know you made both services. You made the
Yeah.
one in Jersey and the one in Atlanta. So that was really meaningful. But I did wanted to have something where both groups could have a chance to say goodbye to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's something you can always consider. But and then planning it all. I'm a project manager, so I pulled that off from Jersey, turned around, pulled it off down here,
Yeah.
and it all went very well, and everybody appreciated it.
Yeah, it did go well.
Hmm.
So the other thing that I just want to ask is that I know when you've been with somebody for a while and they're gone, how did you feel, or what was your thinking, or how did you deal with just for the first
Hmm.
time being in the
Yeah,
house by yourself?
yeah. Like I say, I was married 20 years before I got divorced. Then I married 20 years later. I'm a widower. It's a big difference in a divorce and a widower, though, because divorce, I was, in a sense, growing out of love by then.
Right.
When you're a widower, you're still in love when you lose the person. So you do
Wow.
go through more of an emotional change because you lost them, but you think back of all the times you've had and all the blessings that was to have
Mhm.
20 years together. You couldn't have asked for better. But I also had my daughter here, and I have family and friends all around. Robin, of course.
Right.
That helped a lot. But I basically just and then I stayed in touch with my in-laws. Her family reunion every year they had a family reunion in Myrtle Beach. So for the next 2 years after the Brenda passed, I went to the family reunion by myself, just with them, and
Yeah.
that helped a lot. If you're being around family that knows me, and that knew her, but at the same time, we her uncle told me, and he's 90 years old. He said, "I can't." The second time I came by myself, he said, she ain't coming back." I said, "What? She ain't coming back?" Yeah, you need to find me. Need to move on. I was like, "Yeah." So he was giving me a license to say, "Go ahead and start dating again."
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that's what I did. And you've met Kay,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I've met her. This is someone who I knew in college at Purdue 57 years ago. We went our separate ways, and here we are seeing each other 54 years later.
Wow.
And it's really a blessing. And we didn't, and come to find out, she's only 150 miles away. She was in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I'm in Atlanta, so she's close enough that we can still see each other on a regular basis. Come to Elkhart for the Jazz Festival every year. Go to Chicago. So it's good having a partner late in life. And
Mhm.
so some people, life begins at 70.
Yeah, it can. So let me just share this with you. So Reggie grew up in Chicago also,
Oh, okay.
and I told him you did as well. You
Yeah, I
guys
was
might
on
have
the South
crossed
Side.
paths and didn't know it.
It's,
Yeah.
it's possible. I'm just a little bit younger than Eric though was.
Well, you might have crawled past.
Were you on the South Side of Chicago or West Side?
No, I was on the west side. I was on the best side.
Okay.
Just remember that.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying there's only two sides where most black people live, but
That's
now they
true.
live
That part is
everywhere.
true.
But
So,
that was basically it, South Side and West Side.
right. So,
But I had a lot of friends on the West Side. I went to Westinghouse, and
okay.
back then Marshall was popular, Crane, and then also Lane Tech was. I went to Lindblom Tech.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, And so therefore, that's how I became an engineer,
Yeah.
interested in that.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you this, Eric, because you were with your wife for such a long period of time.
Hmm.
I found that I cannot go a day without mentioning my wife's name, whether mentally or
Hmm.
just saying it out loud, which is something I did when she was alive too.
Hmm.
Do you experience that same type of thing?
Well, I don't say it out loud. I do think of her all the time. I still got pictures of her. Even with my new friend, she has no problem with me saying that's just somebody's a part of my life. So
Yeah.
I got pictures of us in my office and everywhere else, and it's just I do think about it. In fact, I thought about it today. Before this meeting, because I
Hmm.
said, well, what might I say? It just reflected back on some of the things that we had done. I got pictures on my phone. It pops up. Your phone just pops up with pictures of the
Right.
day,
Oh yeah.
and it'll pop up with a picture of an event that we went to, because we did everything together. But she loved to drive. I loved to drive, so we would jump in the car and go anywhere.
Yeah.
Drive to
Yeah.
Houston to see our granddaughter, because she had a son, so I had a son. He had a daughter, so I have a grandchild. I have a daughter here. So these memories don't go away, and I think of it all the time. In fact, I think that one of the terms I use, I said, moments become memories. So you create the moments so you can have a memory. And that's
Yeah,
what
I
life's
like
all
that.
about.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. We
Yeah.
might
Hmm.
steal that.
You can use that. Moments become memories.
Moments become memories.
You
Okay.
got to create the moments, though. And then
Yeah,
you
I
got
hear you.
memories later on in life. I send pictures out reflecting some of the places
Oh
we've
yeah.
been, Marlon, and just say, this is what, remember this, stuff like that, memories.
So one other area that we talk about a lot, Eric, that people don't seem to, I don't say they don't realize, but maybe they don't place any emphasis on, is the financial aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, where you have to come in and you have to take care of the person you're caring for their financial needs, power of attorney, any obligations that they have, you know, uh, after their passing, all the legal stuff. Maybe you can just touch on that a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
what the difference is between, having to do that and not done it and some of the challenges with that.
Well, it's like everything else you do. You have a will. You plan ahead that way. We also made sure we had the house in both of our names, things like that. We had
Right.
a joint savings account, but we had separate checking accounts. But I would be listed on her checking account, so accessing money after that was a key thing too. But me
Yes,
being on
yes.
the account, nothing went to probate, and
Right.
we were able to manage all that in advance because we knew we thought of it planned in advance for it.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
got you got to do that planning with the will, with getting the account set up. So when one passes, the next goes right to the spouse. And then
Yeah.
I even went so far as say if now I pass, things will go to my daughter and her son as
Okay.
and but I have a power with executor over the estate, but still I have it designated who gets what.
Right.
Mhm.
So that is key in planning, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
financially.
very important. I mean, being left with, I've got two children,
Mm-hmm.
a son and my daughter, and I plan on, my son taking care of my daughter, but it's paramount on me to create the resources so he doesn't have to come out of his pocket to take
Mm-hmm.
care of his sister. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, planning is very key. Doing a will, and in my case, I've got to do a special needs trust also,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
so that no matter what happens, that nobody else can get access to that money outside of family, right?
Right.
Right.
That's key. That's key. Yeah.
Or gets tied up in probate or the estate.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Because I've just learned they're just a few small words, but they have a large legal presence, like, joint accounts
Mm-hmm.
and POD, pay upon death, and,
Mm-hmm.
power of attorney medical. Just some of those little acronyms, they mean a lot
Mm-hmm.
in the context of legal stuff when and if, God forbid, something happens to the person that you're caring for. If you don't have it in place, it can be challenging and you're already stressed and emotional at that point anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely agree. You need to do as much planning ahead. But I'll say this because I felt like this when I was planning my mother's service. Although my mother had kind of put stuff together already and what she wanted, but I shared with Reg and some other people that, you go to the funeral home And I'm just making sure everything is in place the way that she wants it. And I had a conversation with the funeral director. I said, man, I feel morbid coming here planning, services for my mother. And he let me know in no uncertain terms, it's the best thing you ever did.
Oh yeah, you want to
But,
do it when you're not in an emotional, saddened state. Do it when
right.
you're clear minded. To make the
Yes.
proper decisions. As Kay, my new friend, she
Right.
owns a funeral home in South Carolina,
Yeah.
and they have a program called Pre-Need. You go in
Mm.
and you lock in the cost of the funeral in advance. So
Yes.
therefore, you don't have that hidden cost popping up because it's already upfront paid for and it's locked in. Because as inflation goes, it could go higher.
But go up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I
It's
mean,
funny. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
logical sense, I'm not going to be buying a plot because I'm just not that kind of person. So cremation was my first choice. But she and I talked about that.
Right.
I say the same thing to my daughter. If I pass, I don't need a plot. It's cremation is fine. And you can also buy or rent a casket. So I had a real nice casket, but it was a rental. So it
Yeah.
cuts the
Yeah.
cost that way. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things you can do that make the funeral setup
Expense.
and planning
Yeah.
more cost effective and something that's right for your needs.
So see, for you, it's just you, but you're the only male in your sister. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have anybody want to go down there. Everybody in my family thought I was being morbid and you're planning mom's death. No, no, no.
No, no,
Mom
no.
already had this written out. I'm just going to
Yeah,
confirm to your point.
right.
She had it done 10 years ago. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to make clear
Mm-hmm.
that inflation, like you said, so if it was 20,000, I mean, is it going to be 28,000 now because
Yeah,
it was
it
put out
definitely
10 years?
goes up.
Just stuff
Yeah.
like that, that you
Mm-hmm.
just don't plan on. And, you need to get it squared away because, I can tell you, and I'm sure you can elaborate that
Mm-hmm.
once something happens, everybody is not as clear-headed. And there's really only one issue that everybody's concerned about. How much money am I getting?
Mm-hmm. Oh
You
yeah, people,
know
yeah,
what
in the
I'm
family, yeah.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
but I just felt better after you said that. But my mother was just a forward thinker, and she was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Son, don't feel bad. Somebody have to do it for you too. You don't have any control over it,
Yeah.
when it happens." So
Mm-hmm.
it made me
That's
feel
it.
better. She had
That,
everything listed out and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
that's interesting, Marlon, because with your family, it seems like everybody has everything planned out. I know 40 years ago when I first came into the family, Candace's mom had her funeral all arranged. She told her and Candace's sister, this is what's going to happen. Follow this. And so, but that's something different for me. I I didn't care about it. I told Candace, I'm gonna be gone. I don't care. Do what you want to do, you know?
yeah,
And that also comes from having a father who has a background who really believed don't put money in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But that
interesting.
doesn't
Wow.
necessarily mean you don't bury somebody, but you
Yeah.
don't put good money into the ground because it's not going to do that person any good.
Yeah.
And when my wife Candace died, um, I had already gone through experience of losing my mom when I was 22 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I never understood why my father got a single plot. And many years later, he got a plot down in Mississippi. And in my mind, I don't want my children to have to go to two different places to
Mhm.
visit, and pay their respects to us. So I got a double plot and paid for that and was done with it. And just because it makes it easier, after some years, I realized my father was probably always planning to go back to his hometown. But, when I was 22 years old, I didn't understand. At some point, I knew he was going to die, but why
Yeah.
wouldn't he want to be next to his wife at that point? And so
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
make it easier for my son and daughter so they only have to go to one place, especially since my daughter is going to need someone to take her there if she's going to pay her respects. So,
Well, it's interesting. I think that my mother and father and all my aunts and uncles, I think it was just the times that they were in back in the 60s and 70s where it was just customary. Maybe maybe it's a Midwest thing that you get a plot, you get your husband, because most of the people in my mother and father's circle, they were married 40, 50, 60
right.
years.
Right.
So their plan was like, we're gonna be together in life, we're gonna be together afterwards. So
Right.
everybody just went and bought plots together. So I mean, with my family, they're all buried in the same
But
cemetery.
it's also the fact that we move around so much. It's almost, do I get a plot in Georgia because I've been here so long? Do I do it in Chicago because that's where I'm from?
Right.
And
Wow.
it was easy that for North Carolina, for Brenda, her family in Middlesex County has a little family plot.
Right.
So after
Okay.
the cremation, I took the ashes and buried them in the family plot. So
Oh
she still
wow.
had that same impact of being in a location, but
Yeah.
not the expense of having to pay for the whole plot thing. Is because I know talking to Kay, they charge you for opening up the hole, filling it
Oh
back
yeah.
up,
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
else, and the concrete container
The
casement you
vault,
got to have it in before
All
you know
that.
you spent, like you say, $20,000
easy. So
easy.
so so that's the part that I would recommend that you do before something happens. It's just proper planning because unfortunately, but fortunately, funeral homes are a business.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it. So when the time comes, you want the most professional, the most sensitive person, and you want those people to treat you as if you were their only person. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what you get. But there's a cost for that service.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you know, it's like going to a high-end steakhouse. You got the steak, and then you got everything that goes on the side. To your point, you got the opening the grave, you got
Mm-hmm.
the closing the grave, you
Right.
got the vault,
The
you
vault.
got the
Yeah.
casket, and the
Casket.
caskets can go
Everything.
from, you
Yeah.
know, 1,500 to 20,000. It just depends.
That's
And
why
if you
I
will
went with
not,
I was being an engineer and went with the rental.
See, I didn't even know you could do that. So,
Oh yeah, I mean that a lot of people, especially if you're doing a cremation, you're not going to be
yeah,
burying nobody in the casket, so you rent it. You can rent a really nice one
nice
for like
casket.
$1,500. I'm talking about a $10,000 casket, and it gets reused, of course. This is a rental, but at the same time, it looks very nice, and it's not a lot of out of pocket for you. The flight to fly to Brenda to New Jersey was $1,000, but you had to
Well,
really
let
find
me just
the
elaborate on that because
mm-hmm.
mom was here in Virginia, and the flight for her back to Indiana was 5,000.
Oh my goodness! But I got a
But
good deal. I also
what?
knew somebody that knew somebody, so they got a good deal on that. You had to pay the embalming before you fly
Now
it.
that's
You got to embalm
now
first,
yes,
and like in your case, Kay helped you in the decision if they embalm and refrigerate. Can
right.
you have the funeral open casket 3 weeks later? And you could.
No, so that was very, very insightful. And I think that was just God's plan for me to, I don't, it's just crazy that you would be dating a lady that's in that business. And,
Mm-hmm.
because of the circumstances, Rich, mom passed away in April.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew the services were going to be in Indiana, but her brother was out of the country and some other people were traveling. So I couldn't get everybody together until May. So I was concerned about, the condition of mom for 2 or 3 months, but just little things without being morbid, that Kay was, because Kay's in the business, she was like, Marlon, what you don't want to do is, and I didn't know this, and that, a lot of people's bodies sometimes get frozen to be
Mm-hmm.
kept and preserved.
Yeah.
But she said when you do that, it's a very difficult challenge to get the person back to their natural state. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to keep them refrigerated. That
Yeah.
plus the embalming process
Mm-hmm.
was key. These people in Virginia were the best ones in the state of Virginia. And it showed through because mom looked very, 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 very nice when she got done. And I
Yeah.
learned that from Kay, like, listen, she needs to be preserved, and this is how you do it. And
Mm-hmm.
they did all of the right things, and I was very, very pleased with the end result. Because I
Yeah.
had a lot of people push back, say, oh, I don't know, it's going to be like 6 weeks and this, that, and
Yeah.
the other. But
It
I'll
worked out.
say, when God's in the plan and you just do your due diligence, you can get the results you want. And I was
Oh,
very
and I
pleased with the
remember
way things went.
Kay was telling me she has some embalmers that work for her, and they're excellent. In
Yeah.
fact, they had a one funeral. The lady said, she looked so good. She looked better dead than she looked alive. Like, wow,
Well,
that's how
you
good it
know,
was.
you can get those comments in small churches. That could be for various reasons,
I know.
But I didn't want to digress too much. But I was just talking about the business of it because, at the end of the day, when you get done, the funeral director, he's going to have a list of itemized
Mm-hmm.
things that you want, and he's going to come up with a number.
Mm-hmm.
And what people don't realize is that they want to be paid all up front
All up front. Yep.
before we do anything. Now, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard different stories. You know, they get there, people don't have the money, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, this guy bought a finance company, so you can finance the funeral services through
Oh,
the
yeah.
company. You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just business. You know, he said,
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather finance low interest than to have you just be more stressed
Mm-hmm.
about not being able to facilitate taking care of your loved one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
So
he got
it
third
goes
party
from
financing. I get it now.
the total picture, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. So
caregiving, it doesn't end just with the caregiving. So you got to get all that to factor. And then you say the after postmortem, how you feel, how you adjust, how
right.
long do before you start pursuing another life, you know.
Yeah, well, we had a young lady on with us, and she made a comment, and she says that when you do stuff like that, what you're doing is preparing to live on for
Mm-hmm.
you. You know,
Yeah.
the caregiver, because after the caregiving's on, you gotta continue to live, you know.
Yeah. And
So
you hear so many cases of people who've been married a long time, the spouse dies and the next person dies a month or so later out of
Yep,
grief.
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Eric,
you do.
let me ask
Mm-hmm.
you this. How long did it take you after your wife passed
Mm-hmm.
that you felt normal, ready to do, back to your normal self?
Well, since I had been preparing for it for 9 years, she went 9 years with this autoimmune disease, and most people only live 5. So she
Mm,
outlived the average person, and everything else around that because we did so much. When it happened, I accept things as they are, like you say, God's plan. But the key thing is I looked at it as now it's time to consider what am I going to be doing for the next 20 years. I was going to say 2 marriages of 20 years. So what's my next 20 years going to be like? And fortunately, I found someone that I can say I can spend the next 20 years with. Now,
Mhm.
we probably won't get married because she has her position in South Carolina. I'm here, but we close enough to see each other. I would say 10 days out of the month,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
that's great for
Yeah.
me
Well,
right now.
the reason
yeah.
I asked that because
Mm-hmm.
having gone through the similar situation, I told Marlon this. It took me 9 months before I could even think about making financial or any other type of decisions that was going to
Mhm.
affect, the family, my daughter and myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I found that really a hard thing to do because I just didn't trust myself. And I was always the one that dealt with the finances, right? I'm a
Mm-hmm.
finance major, and that came naturally, but it took me 9 months to get to a point where, all right, take this money, pay off the house, pay off all your bills, don't have to worry about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
just wanted to
I'm
see how you felt
again
about that.
being an engineer myself. I look at everything somewhat digital. It's either do it or not, and I don't take a long time to make decisions.
No.
Yeah, that's gonna because I normally
I
don't
wouldn't
take
I
a long
wouldn't
time either, but that it amazes me to this day that it took me 9 months to get to that point,
yeah.
even though I knew it was the right thing to do. I just couldn't pull
Mm,
that trigger.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah. No.
yeah.
So
It's like
it depends on the person.
it does, but it also like you feel like I'm cutting off another tentacle of this person that I was taking care of. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to prolong my feelings here till I just get comfortable. But you'll never get to a comfortable spot. You just gotta
Yeah.
ask God to
Well,
pray for you and then just suck it up and just get in there and start doing it. Because with mom, I just, you know,
one of the things too, and the Brennan, she said this to me. She said, "Eric, I'm tired." And
wow.
so when she said that to me, she was at a point where she was ready to go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I accepted that. I remember my father; he was a double amputee, and he was on dialysis and everything else, and he was about ready to go. And then my sister got pregnant, and that gave him the will to live for 5 more
Mm,
years
Wow.
wow.
because he had to see his granddaughter,
Daughter.
she
Yeah.
and be around her. She called him Papa, and he loved that. And but at the same time, sometimes you got to have a motivation, or sometimes you just say, "I'm tired, let me go."
Yeah, and when they say that, I
Hmm.
mean, it's not much longer because they made up
Yeah,
in their mind that they're just tired of this situation.
yeah, it's a
And
lot to go through.
I'm not speaking for them, but just if I and my pastors were in your sanctified mind, you think about they're just, I've fought this battle enough. I'm ready to go,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
their mental state, everything changes after that. And then,
Yeah.
it's kind of like they get you prepared for the inevitable. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Exactly.
You never get totally prepared, but
Yeah, and
yeah,
that allowed me to accept it because she had accepted it. You know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, because I had wrestled with I wanted my mother to get better. That was just me personally. But
Hmm.
I knew that it was a decline and it just wasn't going to happen. So I mean, it's kind of selfish where you wanted to be there because you're going to miss her. But on the
Hmm.
other hand, she's ready to go. And
Yeah.
and God has blessed her. So you gotta let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
you know, that
Hmm.
hit me in the middle of the night. I just, okay, fine. She's
Yeah.
ready to go.
Exactly.
I can't be selfish about it. I want her to
Hmm.
stay, but she's ready to
Hmm.
go. So,
Well,
you
and
know,
as I was thinking too, what you said, you and I and Kay talked the couple of weeks after that, or a couple of days after she had passed, and we were
right.
talking just through what's the next step. And you were saying, I was saying to you, maybe you want to downsize, and you have now,
Yeah.
so you don't need a big house like all that, and now you can get back to doing the things you were doing before she moved with you.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because there's one thing that caregivers need to take into account. We got a lady we're going to interview next week, and her mother just came to live with her, but she and her boyfriend want to go on a trip.
Hmm.
So she's got the financial resources, but her comment was like, "Marla, I'm just nervous to leave my mother because it'll be the first time since she's lived with me that I'm going away for 3 or 4 days.
Hmm.
And I got to have somebody that I trust, is going to do right." And I think they are, but I'm just concerned about once I get out with my boyfriend and I'll be calling every day. I was like, Lisa, if you believe and trust in them, you just got to let it go.
Yeah.
They'll call you if something's wrong. And
Hmm.
that's a hard pill to swallow with Francis and I want to go someplace. I initially was like that, but I ended up having some great caregivers
Hmm.
that I was comfortable with. Now, the financial situation is different. You got to
Yeah.
put money in your budget to be away because the care it's a little bit different as a
Hmm.
caregiver and the rules,
Yeah.
daily 6 to 7 hours, that's one rate. But to stay around the clock 24 hours,
Hmm.
you got to put that in your budget if you take a trip, unless you got some relatives
Hmm.
that can come. But then I don't know, maybe I was just selfish with the person that took care of mom. And, you got to get relaxed that they're going to take care of her at least half as good as you did. So
Yeah.
just
That.
something to think about.
It's like I say, it's
You know,
trust. Yeah.
like with Candace or LeBron, either one of you guys, I know you guys weren't real comfortable if you had to go somewhere like, I'm gonna leave a nurse here with my wife. You're like, you're probably like, I don't know. I'm not really comfortable with that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
See,
Right.
that was
What say you
something,
two?
I really didn't have to deal with. At the end, we were actually that weekend, Candace passed, we were looking into resources and for help in the house or whatever. And I made too much money to get anything from the state or anybody else.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so we were starting to get there. And, the next day, she passed. But I knew I was going to be okay because I wasn't far away and I can work from home like you, Eric. I
hmm,
Hmm.
had the resources to be able to work from home with my job. So I was good that way. But
Yeah.
Eric, I wanted to ask you because we want this platform to be a resource for people. What do you think is beneficial for people to know going into situations like this? Being a caregiver for a loved one for extended periods of times. What do they need to know?
Well, I think the thing is that, and like Martin said, the patience. Um, it really tests your love for the person.
yeah,
And I love Brenda a lot, very much. I would think back. I've only cried 3 times in my life.
yeah,
Once when my father died, and once my mom died, and then once when Brenda died.
Mhm.
And you know, sometimes as a somewhat of a younger person, you understand parents, you know, but understanding someone that's close to you, even though your parents are close, your spouse is the closest you have to you. So
Yeah.
to be a widower is different than losing a parent. It's different than
Mhm.
losing
Interesting. Interesting.
a friend, you know, because this is
True.
somebody who you lived with and has been a part of you. And if you truly love that, now if you didn't have great feelings for that person, it's a whole other ballpark. But having strong feelings for that person, you really almost feel like I dedicated my time to her because she
Yeah.
deserved that. And
Yeah.
I feel good because I know I did everything possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
I shared with Marlon, one of my feelings is that I lived with Candace, my wife, longer than I lived with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I was closer to her, and that made it a lot more difficult. Now, I wasn't like you. I cried more than 3 times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And one was at my mother's, funeral, but I didn't cry at my father's. But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't cry because I knew God gave us some extra time with him. He was
Mm-hmm.
95 when he passed,
Oh,
just
Mm-hmm.
wow.
because he took my mom so young. And I
Yeah.
was all right with that. He lived a
Mm-hmm.
good long life.
Mm-hmm.
But, to this day, I will still have tears well up in my eyes, and now is one of them when I
Yeah.
think about my wife and certain things come up, and it's been 4 years now. You
Yeah.
know,
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's been 6 years for me now because
Yeah,
she
but
was
I mean, just sometimes
2019.
you'll just hear something, a song, or you'll see
yeah,
something, and it'll just bam, just bust you up. You just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
well up. I was in church Sunday, and I mean, I thought I was past all of that, but you just get a little misty sometimes. Some
yeah,
songs that remind you of your mom or your brother. It's just I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's just me, but just certain things just push that
Mm-hmm.
button.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
someone once told me that grief is the price we pay for love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you don't love
interesting.
the person, you probably don't care that much. You carry that much
Oh,
grief.
no, let me just tell you something. If you don't love the person and they get sick,
I know. It's almost like, oh,
it's going to
why are
be a
you still here?
difficult. It's going to be a difficult role for that person. I'm
And that's a
telling you
different
right
situation.
now.
It's like a divorce then.
Yeah, better get some resources. If you don't
Yeah.
love them and
Mm-hmm.
we get a serious illness, the rubber's going to hit the road
It's a
on
real
you quick.
test. But if you love the person, you like I do whatever necessary. Like you say,
Absolutely.
to the ends of the earth type thing, you know.
Yeah.
And
But
that's the way
it
it
gives
was with us.
it should give all of us on here comfort to know 100% that I don't doubt anybody on this call right now didn't do absolutely everything they could do in their power
Mm-hmm.
to take care of them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Nobody could have done anything different or better.
Mm-hmm.
You say it like as an engineer, there are 4 or 5 different ways to skin a cat. Well, when it comes to my caregiving for my mom, nobody could have done a better person except Jesus, and that's who she's with.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think you get comfort
Mm-hmm.
and it makes you feel better knowing that you did everything in your power
Mm-hmm.
to make things right and comfortable as you could.
Yeah, and she's in a better place,
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
she's at peace.
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Definitely. So,
But it ain't easy.
oh well, nothing in life is, you know, nothing
Nothing,
worth having.
nothing good comes easy, right?
Nothing good,
Yeah.
right? Yep,
So,
definitely.
Well,
man, all
good,
right.
man. I'm glad you could share this and
Uh-huh.
give
Is
us
there
some of your
anything else that you
insight.
want to
And
share with
Yeah,
us,
it's been a good
Eric?
talk. You know, good
Yeah.
reflection. You
I'm
know,
I'm I'm glad we've had this time together. It's been
yeah,
good. It's been good. So,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
gonna
yeah,
have to remind Marlon to let me know when the Jazz Fest is in Elkhart. So,
Oh yeah,
see you there.
okay, definitely. We could. It's be what our fifth year almost, man.
yeah, yeah.
As long as Rod's married, we're coming.
Listen, that's right. We got inroads with the mayor. You know what
We
I'm
got inroads, right? And
saying?
last election he ran unopposed, so he might
Yeah,
be mayor for life.
basically he's mayor for life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
because he's doing a
and
great job.
it's always a wonderful time that Jazz Fest, and they have some good talent.
Oh, they had Count Basie band there,
That was
legendary.
one of the best ones. Well,
Really,
That
they
was
just had
unbelievable.
it's been a long
Kool and the
time.
Gang and the Commodores there a month
Yeah,
ago,
yeah, Cool in the Game was there on a
and
free
the
concert.
Commodores.
It's been a long time since I've been there, and I went when I think they first got started with the Jazz Fest in Elkhart.
Oh yeah, it's been
Well, they've
about
been doing it for
35 years
30
now. They've had it.
years.
Well,
But they've been doing it for 30 years, but Rod has kind of stepped it up since he's been
Oh
there.
yeah, right.
okay, well, Marlon, you know I've been in the family since for 40 years now. So,
Oh, yeah.
like I said, I was there when it got started. Your uncle Bill was,
Yeah.
a leading proponent of that, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, of the
Yeah.
Jazz Festival.
Of the
Oh,
Jazz
yeah.
Fest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And
Great.
good
Well, E,
talk.
we're gonna do our thing here, man. We got a closeout statement for you,
Okay.
and we can't thank you enough, man, for letting us chat with you. And
Hmm.
please tell other people if you know other people that are in caregiving situations. We don't discriminate. Black,
Right.
white, tall or short, it doesn't really matter. We
Well,
want
you
to hear
actually
your
say that.
story.
I was playing poker with a couple, and her husband was on oxygen. So I commented how I had been through the situation with LaBrenda, and she's
Right?
caregiving for him. And it was the podcast you sent me to go look at and review. So
Yeah.
I forwarded it to her, let her know that you can look at this and get some insight from it.
Yeah, we and you let her know we'd love to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I'll propose to see if how she feel. I just met her then at that one poker session, but
well,
it's
see,
just the fact that I saw her taking care of him, and I had just got the podcast from you from the one that you did last week
right,
with the guy with the hat on.
Right.
John.
Yeah,
Well,
John. Yeah.
so our thing is, and I'll let leave after that, is we want this to be as impromptu as possible. We don't want
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
anything scripted. That's why it'd be good to talk to her. We don't know her, she doesn't know us, but out of the
Exactly.
conversation that you had and we shared with you,
Mm-hmm.
now she, asked for some information and we just want to
Right.
share
Yeah,
with
I
her.
can
That's
see.
what we want to
I'll
do.
ask how does she like it? Did she get anything from it? And then
Right.
if she might want to participate.
All right.
Just one at a time. So I'm glad to hear that you took our video and showed it to somebody else
Oh
and
yeah.
they got a little comfort out of it. That's what this is
Definitely.
about.
That's what's all about, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
And this is recorded. Send me this one too. I can
We
give you.
We'll
will.
do
We will
that.
Yeah.
definitely send it
We'll
to
do
you.
that.
Okay, man.
All right,
So
just a
here's our
second.
closing. Here we go. Go,
Okay.
Rich.
That is it for this edition of the Caregivers Network. If you like what you hear, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an edition. If there is a topic you'd like for us to explore in the future, please add that to your comments. You can also check us out at cgn1.org and leave a request, a question, or a comment. Thank you for joining the Caregivers Network.
And remember to shoot for the moon. And even if you miss, you'll still be amongst your stars and your friends.
All right. Sounds
So
Take
good.
long,
care,
everybody.
Eric.
Thank
Thank
you
All right,
you.
man.
again,
Appreciate
Eric.
it, Eric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah.